Hey everybody, Captain Henson here. So last night we finally got word on what Project Luminous is, and that is of course the High Republic. Of course, we had already been theorizing that for a while, so this was more so just a confirmation of that. And if you haven't already, I'd highly recommend checking out the announcement trailer. That gives you a pretty good overview. Basically, as it says here, set 200 years before Phantom Menace. And because of that, we're going to see the Jedi at the height of their power. And, of course, given what we know from Phantom Menace, the Jedi can't have major conflict with the Sith. They shouldn't even know they exist at this point, so we have a new villains called the Nile, which were described as space Vikings. And during this time, the Republic is expanding. So the Jedi are acting as frontiersmen, or basically space cowboys, essentially. Jedi Knights of the Round Table, as they were described. And these Nil will be invading the Republic. If they have any connection to the Force, I have no idea. I would assume not. But we'll see. So, as of now, with what we've been told, this is going to be Phase 1. And the major part of this phase will be the novel by Charles Soule, Light of the Jedi. This will be what kicks off this era, this event. So, with what we have, Light of the Jedi, 200 years before the events of Phantom Menace, in the era of the glorious High Republic, the noble and wise Jedi Knights must face a frightening threat to themselves, the galaxy, and the Force itself. There'll be this event called the Great Disaster, which will set all these events in motion. And as you can see here, the main character, Avar Kriss, first appeared in Rise of Kylo Ren 3, and the High Republic has been hinted at recently in several comics. So glad to see they actually, had a plan. So that's the novel. This is the big part of this project. A YA novel. Padawan Reath Silas is being sent from cosmopolitan galactic capital of Coruscant to the undeveloped frontier, and he couldn't be less happy about it. He'd rather stay at the Jedi Temple, studying the archives. But when the ship he's traveling on is knocked out of hyperspace in a galactic-wide disaster, Reath finds himself at the center of the action. The Jedi and their traveling companions find refuge on what appears to be an abandoned space station, but then strange things start happening, leading the Jedi to investigate the truth behind the mysterious station, a truth that could end in tragedy. And so, given that this whole event is supposed to start with this great disaster from here, it's going to spew into all these other stories. How so, we'll have to see, but I'm really hoping we get a Clone Wars multimedia project where we have a clear, concise development of events. We see exactly how the timeline is going. Something we haven't gotten in the new canon at all. So this one has me pretty excited, especially given not only the role we're going to see the Jedi in regards to going out to the frontier, the areas that aren't yet controlled by the Republic, And also, I just find the idea of a Jedi wanting to stay at the temple interesting. And given the circumstances, I think I'm gonna really like this one. Another thing to note about this era is that it's going to be very heavily focused on the Jedi. And of course, yeah. As it should, because we haven't had a good Jedi-centric story since, I would say, the expanded universe. But they also said we will be getting, new smugglers and stuff. So we will be seeing the non-Force aspect of Star Wars, but the emphasis is on the Jedi, and that is fair. Personally, I do love the Jedi, don't get me wrong, but I do also like reading the stories about non-Force users. Because quite frankly, in a world where Force users are commonplace, just focusing on those average Joes, essentially, I find that appealing. Oh, anyways, moving on to the junior novel. Test of Courage. When a transport ship is abruptly kicked out of hyperspace as part of a galaxy-wide disaster, hint hint nudge nudge, wink wink, newly minted teen Jedi Vernestra Rowe, a young Padawan, an audacious tech kid, and the son of an ambassador are stranded on a jungle moon where they must work together to survive both the dangerous terrain and a hidden danger lurking in the shadows. And they've also said that even with the stuff geared more towards the younger demographic, there will be a consistent tone, which I am thankful for. And we can already see that the books will develop this timeline, which is nice. We should have this strong connective continuity, which we haven't gotten in the new canon. Moments here and there for sure, but overall, nothing compared to the EU. Got High Republic Adventures. We have next to no word on what we're getting here. Given the Adventures title, I'm certain that these will just be anthology stories like every other Adventures title. But given that we don't have a cartoonish art style here, I don't know how much this is going to be geared towards kids. I mean, the IDW titles have been geared more towards the younger demographic, but given the designs here, but there is a chance that this isn't the final cover. We'll have to see. And then the High Republic ongoing. Again, no real word on this, but I'd want to say it's going to focus on the Nile, given the cover here, but we'll see. Honestly, given with what currently I'm reading the KOTOR comic, and if this comic can, I mean, I know it would be unfair to compare, but I hope this is in the same vein as that, where this, is able to tell its own story, but connects or gives a greater context for this era. I guess another thing to note is the cover art here. Honestly, I am loving this cover. I've loved all these covers, quite frankly. I love the painted look that these two first books have. I am loving the more animated art style here. And then for the comics, we're going to have to wait and see on what they eventually look like. So I guess to give a little backstory, we had been told that we'd be getting the announcements from Project Luminous yesterday at 10. And of course, we got Light of the Jedi leaked, I'd want to say, like an hour before. We also got this really terrible description that I'm glad turned out to be fake. But still, the thing that immediately caught my attention was the cover. And it also confirmed that, yes, Project Luminous is indeed the High Republic. But again, that cover just looks so beautiful. If we get Black Series figures of these, oh yeah. Honestly, I'm all in. So, 10 rolls around, Donnie and I are just waiting. He's on Twitter, I'm not. And then, of course, we're waiting. Nothing. I hop on Twitter too. And then, slowly but surely, we get bits of information. According to Donnie, this sort of thing has happened before, but this was new to me. I don't understand why they did it the way they did, but it worked out. It was fun. Him and I, going through the thread, being able to pick out pieces of information, getting this beautiful concept art. Like, seeing all the Jedi lined up, like, this isn't a high quality image, but seeing all the Jedi lined up, seeing all the different lightsabers, the colors. And my god, not only that, but there is an actual diverse cast here. And I don't just mean in terms of different skin tones and genders. I mean aliens. I mean, yeah, the diversity for the humans too is great. But we're actually getting aliens. Ah, here's a good one. Like, yeah, we have some humans, but we have a ton of aliens. The new canon finally remembered that Star Wars has alien species. My god, it only took them 5 years. One of my major gripes with the sequel trilogy was that they forgot that they had alien species. Honestly, like, if we see only like a handful of humans, I mean, honestly, yes, please. Also, Dan McKeag, he was one of the concept artists for the prequels, designed Darth Maul, and, well, I mean, what more can I say? He's amazing. And also, now that I'm looking at this, we're also going to get different attires. One for Jedi Mission, one just seeing at the temple. But whatever their duty is, they'll have an outfit with that. You see a Lethal Wolf there, so might get a bit of Lethal. And also, the reason they're setting it 200 years prior to Phantom Menace is they didn't want to set it too close to the Old Republic because they didn't want to have to deal with that, which I understand. But yeah, I mean, honestly, this has me really excited. Like, I actually want to get everything they release for this era. Something that hasn't happened since the new canon started. And then, of course, I stopped. The new canon, I realized that I didn't really enjoy the new canon and decided to fully embrace the EU. So it does feel nice that there is something in the new canon, new Star Wars content that I can actually be excited about. And honestly, I think this is a real turning point. It started with Mandalorian, but I think this is the true turning point. I look at the first 5 years of Disney Lucasfilm as an unofficial Phase 1, where they were trying to like recapture what they saw or what the OT fanboys saw as Star Wars. They wanted to do their own EU, but do it so poorly that it didn't work on any level. To entirely focus on the OT pretty much pushed all the EU fans, all the prequel fans to the sideline. To have a canon that didn't matter because we got nothing stories. And even when we did get some substance, it was only after the film was released so they could fix the problems that they could have easily have done earlier. But now, since we're in the unofficial Phase 2, this could be their chance to finally give their canon some weight. We're finally going to get stories that actually mean something. Stories that are like stories told in various mediums that do connect, that if you do read or look at the whole, it's a much better experience. So, in conclusion, this has me excited for the new canon again. I do believe, and also the creatives are the ones who thought this up. They're the ones who came up with the story, finally, for the first time in the new canon. It feels like we're getting a story because there's an actual story to be told. Not because, oh, we want money, so make sequel trilogy. No, there's an actual story to be told that they want to tell. And because this is going to be the major aspect of Star Wars we'll be getting until the film in, I think it's 2020, this might define Star Wars moving forward. And that would be weird to think. But it finally feels like the new canon has its own thing. And that's what I was trying to get at with the phases here. It feels like we're finally going to get... The new canon will finally have its own original content, where it doesn't have an EU equivalent. We can just look at this on its own. And honestly, I hope this does define the new canon moving forward. That the first 5 years is looked at as, honestly, a failed experiment. Now, of course, they are going to have to go back to it and fix it, to rectify things, because, I mean, you kind of have to if you want to make the canon strong. But this, quite frankly, guys, I think they're actually going to turn a new leaf. I think we're actually going to get worthwhile content again. And who knows? If this does well, if Star Wars comes into a renaissance, we get a renaissance, and the quality just goes up, sales go up, who knows? We might even get the return of the expanded universe. Because the only way we're going to get that is if the Disney canon is selling well, and we keep telling them how much we want Legends. Show them how much we want it. I'm going to keep doing that, and I'd highly recommend you all doing so as well. Show them your collections. I've been saying that for a long time now, but Show them that we have faith in them. Show them that we will buy their content. For the first time in a long time, the future is actually looking bright for Star Wars. I don't know how the EU channels are going to look at this, but hopefully they feel the same way. As for me, good job, Lucasfilm. Good job. So, what did you think of the Luminous announcements? Did the, event... Well, the event was certainly interesting, but what did you think of this? Are you excited? Do you think Disney Lucasfilm is finally going in a good direction? Let me know in the comments section below. Until next time, this is Captain Henson, signing off.